welcome to the Disneyville podcast, episode 33. 33?
I was like, I got nothing cutesy to say.
Okay. Well, should we talk about something?
Yeah, so today's episode, friends, is
Are you
all
excited about it?
I'm always excited.
Every episode, very excited about
As we've said, this is our passion project, so I'm always excited. So we're going to be talking about Fort Wilderness, their new cabins.
Mm-hmm.
We stayed in them recently. We are so excited to share our thoughts, the differences between the old ones and the new ones, why they replaced the old ones.
Yeah.
Just some fun facts along the way. We've got a lot to talk about. I'm really excited. And if you're watching the video version, we have tons of footage to share while we're talking about it, so you can actually see it in action.
Yeah. Plenty of B-roll of the old ones and the new ones. So you
Yeah.
can kind of see the comparison.
Yeah,
You just do one and do the other. You just
that's right. And then compare.
Yeah, so it's going to be a fun episode. It won't be, I don't think it's going to be a very long episode just because it's one.
Famous last words,
last
please.
words.
Come on. Everyone's looking at the time. They're like, it was 58 minutes. Joke's on them.
But yeah, so we just got back, a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, from staying in the new one. So we've got a lot of thoughts, some pros, some cons, mostly pros, few cons though.
Oh, yeah,
So,
definitely.
Yeah, should we just go ahead and jump in? You got anything else to say?
I do have some light housekeeping.
Ooh, okay.
Yes. First of all,
Also, I just noticed, sorry, I picked some new colors for our lights behind us if you're looking at the video version. And I was trying to go camping, but I think I'm just getting Alphaba and Galinda.
well, I'm glad I'm Glinda. Actually, no, I think I'd rather be Elphaba.
Here we are. Anyway,
Here we
sorry,
are.
yes, go ahead.
If you've not listened to or watched our previous episode, episode 32 was our first Disney history episode, and we were so excited about it. It's all about Disney hotels and resorts that were planned but never built back when they were first building the Magic Kingdom. It is fascinating. We found a bunch of old maps and concept art and all kinds of stuff. So definitely check it out if you haven't.
Yeah, you
Shameless
did a lot
plug
of
for
research
that one.
for that.
It was
and
so fun.
Filmed it
Twice.
So at least make it worth our while. Please go watch it.
That's right.
Speaking of watching things, we have some Disney vlogs from the trip when we stayed at the cabins. By the time this goes live, almost all of them should be out. I think there's going to be 7 or 8 of them altogether. So check those out too if you're into Disney vlogs. As of right now, they are still on my channel, Tyler Braun. You can search Tyler Travels TV. You'll find it.
Search Tyler Braun.
Search
You'll
Tyler
find
Braun,
it.
you
Search
find it.
Jessica's
Tyler Braun.
handsome husband. You might find it. You might find it.
Tyler Braun Cabins, Fort Wilderness, 2024.
Keywords. Anyway, yeah, those have been super fun.
And
so, yeah.
what I'm really more excited about is starting, in theory, right after this podcast goes live, within a week or two,
What?
the Egypt videos.
Oh, you had me. Well, I am excited.
Finally
But
going to start going live. It's been 3 or 4 months of work, and I'm very excited.
it was a year ago that we went on the trip. So,
Well, but
how's that
I
math
just
work?
started editing them like
I
3 or 4
know.
months ago.
5 or 6, 7 months ago.
Well, quite new.
Kidding. I'm fine. I'm kidding.
But you know what? I felt very vindicated. So I was randomly searching for a new gimbal for my camera the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Came across this guy. Apparently, he's a big YouTuber. His name is Brandon Lee, I think is his name.
Someone's like, I know him.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, he makes these beautiful travel videos, and they're he puts most of them on Vimeo, and then he has it's seemingly, I just found this guy. So it seems like he has tutorials and stuff on his YouTube channel, but then his actual travel videos go on Vimeo. So I watched 1 or 2 of them.
Interesting.
They're gorgeous. They're beautiful. I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish I could get my travel videos to look like this. It was like a 7-minute video, and it was beautiful. And he said it took him 3 months to edit that 7-minute video.
Okay.
I have 3 hours of videos coming out on Egypt. So I'm like, at least I feel a little bit more vindicated.
Yeah,
I'm like,
all
it's
right.
not just me.
Well, you're a one-man show when it comes to the editing and all of that. So you're doing sound, you're doing the coloring, grading, whatever. You're doing, you're writing the script, filming the thing,
right, yeah, recording the voiceovers. It's a lot.
the music. It's a lot.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you ahead of time. I cannot wait. He has not let me see a single minute
Yeah.
of the vlogs
I even
on the trip that I was on too.
I even wrote a little bit of the music this time too. So
Ooh.
there's a few things. Most of it is not me. Most of it is stuff that was, but there's a few songs that I also wrote as well. So you'll hear.
Cool.
It really is. It's a lot, but I enjoy doing it. So anyway, not what you guys came here to
Wow,
click
you
on.
guys are like, please, gosh.
If you listen to our podcast, you'll be like, yep, that's them. If you clicked on this video to watch about the cabins, you're like, dude, shut up.
well,
Okay.
hopefully you found the timestamps below and just skipped ahead.
Okay.
I'm Panoke.
Here comes Pinocchio
Beagle
hopping
boy.
down the Beagle Trail.
He is literally hopping down those stairs. Come here, buddy boy.
Okay, Pinocchio's now joining us here.
That's our doggy, Beagle.
Normally there's a couch behind us that he'll lay on, but he decided he's going to be in it today. No one's going to listen to a word we say this entire podcast. Everyone who's watching it is just going to be watching
Reacting to
Pinocchio.
his reactions.
We
What
took
a
his collar
valuable
off,
boy.
by the way, because it had our phone numbers and stuff on it. So if you're like, why don't you put a collar on your dog?
Also, we just take it off when he's inside a lot because we
That's
want
true.
him to be comfy. I don't know.
Shall we go?
Yes. What you didn't see was like 15 minutes of Pinocchio being in the way. Anyway, okay. So let's start with why they replaced them in the first place. So they had the old cabins at Fort Wilderness for a long time.
Yeah. Oh, and it's interesting because I remember my aunt, and I'll have to double check this with her, mentioning that they stayed in the cabins late 80s. You know what I mean? A long time ago. And they were at the front, I guess the back, depending on what you're talking about. Like they were close to Bay Lake is where the cabins used to be. I haven't fact checked that, but I remember her talking about that because they would get out and they could like walk from their cabin right to the Hoop-Dee-Doo Review and all that stuff there. So maybe they had cabins in both places. But what's interesting is now there's some show cabins up there, like as a DVC, like walk around kind of thing.
Yeah.
In that same spot that I always pictured them being. So I'm like, maybe they put a couple of them up there. Anyway, not at all what we were talking about.
That is interesting. No, I'd never heard that.
They have been around for a long time.
Because right now, currently, if you were to like look at a map, they're definitely closer to kind of the center of Fort Wilderness. You know what I mean? They're not super close to either way, but maybe leaning a little closer to the front lobby
They're definitely
area.
closer to the front because if you're looking at where all the RV loops are in the park or in the resort, they're definitely all, towards Bay Lake and then over to the other side. So that is the furthest back you can go in a site is the Fort Wilderness cabins there.
Gotcha. I actually wasn't even searching for this, but Google decided I needed to know. And you know how they have their like AI overview where it just like scans the web and feeds you generally what everyone's saying about that. So that's what we're going to use. Hopefully it's accurate. No, I mean, this is just all stuff I think we kind of knew, but I thought it was interesting enough to share. So it said the old cabins, they're no longer, and they still have some, by the way. We got some clips. Sorry, I know I'm like going off on a tangent, but we got some clips. They still have the old cabins and people were still staying in them.
I would say about a third, maybe, just looking as
Still
we were
left.
driving the golf cart around, a third of them are still the old cabins right
Yeah,
now.
and people were staying in them. So I don't know if you can still book them. I mean, unless you got it for a song, I don't know that I would necessarily recommend it.
It is
unless
less
you're
expensive.
nostalgic.
It is less
They
expensive.
did, but that's good because I can't imagine paying.
When you book it, it
price.
specifically says the new cabins, and it says the
DVC
DVC
ones,
resort or whatever. So they are two separate bookings as of right now.
Okay, that's good to know. So they were just really no longer well maintained, which I would agree even when we stayed in 2019. No, wasn't it like January of
It's
2020?
January of 20. Yeah, it was. But here's what's interesting. I don't know that I agree with that because I can't tell you, but maybe 2015, between somewhere in that ballpark, plus or minus 3 years, they completely renovated the cabins. They put in stainless steel appliances.
Yes.
They did.
But they did a lot and it needed to happen because if people were paying for that, like, I mean, they made the necessary adjustments. I agree. But I remember like the door would stick to the bedroom. So every time we would try to like lay her down and like quietly exit or enter. And I know that's like small things, but little things that over time would naturally just happen.
Yeah.
So some of the other complaints people had, missing like crown molding on the doors, nails sticking out of the wall, dented, the wording on this, dented, smelly, and falling apart fridges. I don't think any of that was written correctly.
Well, maybe the old
Sticking
white
doors.
fridges.
Perhaps old, okay, and the couches. Even then, I was like, I don't want to sit on this couch. So I think it was probably just time. But both of our initial reactions when we first heard they were building the new ones, we both were like, why wouldn't they just renovate the old ones? It seemed crazy that they would. Like, they maybe needed some updates for sure. Like maybe, I guess my point is on a deeper level. They aesthetically, and they changed the appliances, but like, they probably needed a lot more upkeep than any of us saw in that humid climate. You know what I mean? So
I think my guess is they probably looked at both and they were like, okay, if we renovate them, we can only go so far because the new ones do seem much larger. They let in a lot more light. Like, and I'm sure
we'll talk about a lot of the differences for sure.
But they looked at cost of renovating what they had versus getting new. And the reality is they were 40 years old probably. We should look up when they
and at a certain point, they can only renovate it so far, I can imagine, because how many more years will they get out of it? And I bet that was part of the math they did of, okay, we could stretch this for 10 more years, but if we just build new ones now.
Right.
And here's a fun fact while you're looking that up. If you didn't know, they have, and I think still are, selling the old cabins. So I've seen tons of Instagrams where people are showing, here's the old Disney cabin. We bought it. We put it on this plot of land or at I don't know, wherever you're allowed to do that. And what they've done to the inside. And like, it's wild to think that you could live in an old cabin.
I know. That's so
like
fun.
That like does not compute to me. I'm like, that can't be allowed. Like,
I wonder how much did they cost? Did you see?
Let me look that up too.
While you're doing that, we really should have done more preparing. According to a very quick Google search, it says a lot of the cabins were there on November 19th, 1971. So original opening day. So they're 50 years old. So, they probably structurally were at a point, sitting in that Florida swampland for only
Do you think they were the same cabins from then?
I don't know. We should have done more research.
No way. I know. Well, this is stuff I hadn't even thought about this. So in fairness to us. Okay, here we go. I got all of the answers in this one. Thank you, Florida Today, for this article. First of all, they were built in 1998 or 2001. Because I'm like, there's no way these were built back then. Because even thinking about the difference in appliances and how they would have fit in there, like that would have been so difficult.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there's our answer. So these are about 25 years old, which it sounds like the original ones were probably about that old too when they replaced them. So I would love to see the original. So now we have the answer of when they were built. Okay, the price has increased to $59,900 for cabins. And this is in this article. And I guess like some were purchased by one, Disney sold like 100 of them to one company and like 200 to another, or something like that. But yeah, you still have the touches of Disney throughout the cabin. Like it's
so interesting.
It's so wild.
I feel like that's a little high.
$60,000. Well, I think they must know there's also that piece of like if someone's into Disney lore, but then it's also like you have to do something with it. So if you buy it, like
the
you actually
one
have to have
person
a
that I've
place to put it.
seen, it is basically like I bought it and now I'm gonna gut it. So I'm like, so you're spending $60,000 on a small cabin that you have to then turn around and gut.
Wouldn't it be cool to have land though? And if you were like wanting, I think about like people that build like the tough sheds and like have like our editors have like a really cool studio setup.
Oh, that's the dream.
If you just bought a Disney one and filmed in that, or like had your studio or your workspace, whatever it is, like that.
All I want, it's not so much. I want a 700-acre horse farm. Is that so much to ask?
Yeah. Any horses or no?
Oh, I'm going to have a 700-acre horse
team.
farm. Oh, I'm not. Yeah, I'll have to hire, experts. I don't know anything about horses, but I want to have
I just like them.
Nothing too big, just 700 acres. I think that's that's just a good size. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Probably in Wyoming or something. Shall we actually talk about the cabins at some point?
Well, hey, I thought that was interesting.
Okay.
A couple things to know.
Yeah.
One of them is they may be DVC cabins, but you do not have to be a part of the Disney Vacation Club to stay in them. We're not DVC.
Yeah. It's one thing I always talk
just
about.
Book it on their site.
Yeah. Whenever somebody talks about, if you see vloggers or whatever, they're like, oh, this is a DVC room. That doesn't really mean anything. Anybody can stay in any of the Disney Vacation Club resort hotel rooms. So if it's something that you're like, oh, it'd be cool to stay there, but it's a Disney Vacation Club, anybody can book those. You can do it yourself or you can do it through a travel agent. I recommend the people at People Mover Travel. But
Tyler's own agency, we should say.
But you can stay at them. So even though these are now called the cabins at Disney's Fort Wilderness of Disney Vacation Club Resort, they're always so wordy.
They are.
You can actually, anybody can stay in them.
Remember Reflections? Whenever a Lakeside Lodge, a DVC resort, underwriting by Mutual of Omaha.
Okay, something else to know. Whenever I tell somebody if they're staying at Fort Wilderness, my one piece of advice is factor in a golf cart rental. They're not cheap. They're like $55 a day. I want to say it's expensive, but factor it into your budget when you're coming to like looking at what you're going to do on vacation, because they're super duper fun. Like I cannot imagine staying there without having the golf cart to drive around because it's so fun. But the resort is huge. And so, if you are staying in the cabins or staying at any of them, and a lot of people will bring their own, like if they're taking an RV down, but they're so far to get anywhere, and they have an internal bus system, but like just to be able to hop up to the the main area where like over by Bay Lake, it's like a 6-minute golf cart ride at full speed. So it's a long walk.
You just couldn't walk it, not after knowing you're going to be walking the parks or walking, like it's too much.
Yeah.
Especially if you have kids. And the other thing is we were thinking through like, do we rent one or do we not this time? The internal bus system, obviously works. It's great. Many people use it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that you'd wait for the internal bus, get on that, go to all the stops, then get to the front, get off, wait on your bus to get to where you're actually trying to go, like Magic Kingdom, whatever. So it really is internal in that it doesn't also then continue on to a park. You have to get off and wait on. So when you really think through it that way, it does, like when I'm thinking my time is valuable. And if we've bought these park tickets and we're wanting to get the most bang for our buck, like maybe the $55 a day is worth it because that's going to save us 30 or 45 minutes on both ends of, maybe not that long, but you know what I mean, on both ends of getting to the park each day.
Think about it. I would bet on average 20 minutes of waiting for buses and then getting all the way around the thing. And I would bet it would save at least that.
Yeah. And they have like little parking areas both in the front of Fort Wilderness and at the very back, because the very back has like Bay Lake where you can get on it and get on a boat and go to Magic Kingdom and stuff. And then the front is where you'd catch the buses. So they have little golf cart parking areas in both
places,
areas. You just leave it there while you're gone, and then it's there for you when you get back.
Yeah.
So
And plus, they're super fun. Whether you
they
have
really
kids
are.
or
It's
not,
a fun vacation
it's
memory.
very fun. So
Yeah.
highly recommend.
Our piece on golf carts.
Oh yeah, this is a fun one too.
Just adding in, we could do a whole episode in the future on Fort Wilderness in general, because there's a lot more. But one of my biggest tips is whatever you do, if you are staying there, whether you are camping, doing an RV thing, or a cabin, old or new, go to the campfire sing-along. It is not like any of the free cutesy campfire things they have at the other resorts. This one is a full-blown show. Chip and Dale are there. You can buy, or like I think marshmallows are free, but then you can buy like kits for, or maybe
kit, yeah.
whatever it is. You don't even have to do that. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because you're watching a full-blown show with like a seating area and a stage. A guy's like singing. I cannot believe it's free.
They do like a little dance party afterwards. You get to dance with
It
Chip
was
and Dale.
so much fun.
Yeah. Yeah, and they had a guy out there playing guitar for 30, 45 minutes.
But it was like fun. Like it was
had
family friendly,
yeah.
like
They had like
high
bleachers set
energy.
up. Yeah, it was so fun. They had a little concession
I just couldn't
stand over
believe
there.
it. Yeah. So it's one of those things that don't, especially if you're staying there and you can easily get to it. Because obviously anyone could go, technically, it's free. But if you're not staying at Fort Wilderness, you'd have to like drive there and pay to park. I don't even know how that would work. Like, so yeah, definitely if you're staying there, don't miss it.
Yeah, it's so fun. I highly recommend it. Okay, yeah, another way that you can save a little money because you're spending $55 a day on a golf cart, which I'll double check that amount.
Yeah.
But you can save some money by doing some groceries because they have full kitchens. And so we pretty much always order some groceries when we go to Disney. But having a full kitchen is so nice.
Yeah, you can cook. You could straight up do eggs, bacon, toast, whatever you want, and have a full breakfast each morning and save that money you would, the $55 you'd spend on
At least,
even
yeah.
quick service breakfast for your family. Spend $12 on groceries and be able to do it in your room. Plus, my thing is I've realized I love doing breakfast in the room because when I wake up, I'm one of those people that I'm hungry pretty much 30 minutes after I wake up, no matter what time I woke up. And so the idea of like getting ready for the day, getting everyone out of there and getting to a park and then finally having breakfast, no way am I lasting that long. So, but yeah, groceries, you could do lunches in if you're coming back in the middle of the day, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, you can save a lot of money. You can order groceries. We usually do Walmart Plus. We've done Amazon grocery. All of it is great. You just go pick it up at the Bell stand.
Yeah.
That's where they'll
And if you
leave
have
it.
your golf cart, you can just drive your golf cart up, pick up your groceries, and go back.
you
And a lot of people don't want to cook on vacation, and I totally get that.
yeah.
But from a money saving point, and we both enjoy it. It's like part of what we enjoy. Is
Well, when you have young kids, at a certain point, you just need food right then and there.
yeah,
You get a 2-year-old melting down wanting toast with peanut butter on it.
Or
like,
if you have a wife that gets hangry, you're gonna need food right then and there.
need some eggs right away.
Gonna have a meltdown if we don't get some food. It's actually up to $65 a day now. My goodness.
I don't want to talk about the price hike of annual passes. We have been annual pass holders for years, and we're like, this is the first year that we're like,
I don't think I'm gonna.
I don't think we're going to do it.
Yeah.
We'll save money. I mean, of course we'd save money, but we go a lot, and we're like, I think we'll just make it work.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a different thing for a different day. We all know Disney's expensive.
Yeah, we can't go down that path right now. So the other thing is some of them can accommodate doggies, the cabins. I thought that was so cool. So I'm sure you need to figure that out, like which ones, and make sure you're booking the right one or have your travel agent do it. But yeah, I just thought that was awesome.
Yeah, I think there's four maybe Disney resorts that are dog friendly, and then they have the friendly paws dog care. What is it? No, not friendly paws.
Something like that.
Whatever it is, the doggy daycare center too. So yeah, that's a lot of fun. A lot of campers will bring their dogs with them, and that's fun.
Yeah. Cabin tour time. Let us walk you through the new one. So again, if you're watching, we're going to show you a ton of clips so you can actually see it.
Yeah.
But we'll try to describe it
Okay.
in great detail.
Okay. So you pull up to your cabin. There's like 3 colors. There's orange, green, and blue, and then brown, I think. So maybe 4 colors. And really, the colors are really nice. I do miss the log cabin aesthetic they used to have. But as far as the cabins that they have now, the colors are really nice on the outside, I think. They kind of blend in with the nature a little bit, but they're just kind of subtle, muted colors. And I actually kind of like them from the outside. So you walk up the little patio they have. They used to just have like little picnic tables out there. Now they have much nicer, heavier wood furniture. They've got some nicer, heavier tables, 2 benches.
And it's that kind of wood that's like the plasticky wood. What do you call that? That like a lot of the...
What's
That's... Yes.
Okay.
And but it's real heavy, I think. It's definitely this. Now I'm like, is it lightweight or heavy? Now I can't remember. But it was the kind that's going to withstand.
Like the polywood?
Yeah, that kind of feel. I don't think it was exactly that, but it had that feel.
I thought it was just wood.
It might have had a wood core. I don't know.
What are you talking about?
That would have made it heavy.
Polywaddle doodle on the thing.
Anyway.
I don't know what you're talking about. Don't listen to her.
I'm telling you, it was like that polywood feel.
I don't think it was. Hold on. I'm going to look at it. I have a picture of it. Hold on. I think it's just, you might be right. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it is a composite wood. It's so hard to tell.
It is.
Anyway.
These are not the things that matter. But someone that's like knows, please tell me I'm right.
You might be right. You might be right. They look like real wood, but they might be that composite stuff.
Yeah,
anyway.
that would be smart of them because, again,
100%.
Wood will eventually.
Well, that's what I kind of thought they would do that with the.
Do you respect wood? You know that joke.
They'd be. They would do that with the deck as well, like do some kind of Trex decking or something like that. But the actual deck itself was wood, which I thought was just interesting.
Huh.
Anyway, so not important. We've lost so many people at this
Tyler,
point.
none of this is important.
So now they have a table with two like benches that pull in and out, and then they have two chairs as well with little Mickeys on the thing, which is kind of a nice little touch. But then you turn to your right, and the whole side of it is glass, which is pretty sweet.
And it lets so much light in.
It is very bright and
like in the mornings when we would open, because you can close all of that, of course. They have these upper, what I'm going to call skylights, even though they're not like on the roof, they're on the side, but they're really high up. They have those throughout, including in the bedroom, but they have little ways to like easily close them and open them, like curtain wise.
And they black out a lot. I mean, I
was surprised.
It gets dark. Yeah, which is
so
nice.
In the mornings, opening all those up, so much light floods in. It is so beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. Now, the one downside I will say is it didn't feel as private coming from that direction. And I'm surprised they didn't put shears or something on the bottom half where the door is, because they've got the curtains that open and close, but they didn't have shears.
Yeah.
So if it was open, it was fully open. Now they're all angled at a certain way that like people aren't looking in. But I was just kind of surprised they didn't have a way for the light to come in, but also have them kind of.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Privacy.
That'd be something they could still add most likely. But the other thing that was outside, a couple more things outside. They have a grill.
Yes.
So like right when you walk off the parking pad, if you will, it's right there. And then they also have I don't know what this is called, but it's one of those things with like the wire bristles where you can kind of.
Oh, yeah. Clean your shoes. I called it a boot cleaner offer. Yeah, I think that's the technical term.
That's the technical term. But yeah, we actually used it quite a bit. It was really nice.
Yeah.
So, that area can definitely get muddy. Florida gets a ton of rain. And so it was just nice to be able to utilize that.
There is a little pad, by the way, where you can park your car. If you drive down, it's actually big enough to have a car and a golf cart next to each other. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. If you do have a car, obviously one or the other will fit, but they will also both fit together.
Yeah. And there's like, you just plug the golf cart into the side of the cabin. It's perfect.
It's nice. Okay. So back inside, let's talk about when you very first walk in, there's the kitchen. So they have table and chairs, and the table and chairs were like really heavy duty. Like the girls were having trouble moving the chairs because they were so like heavy.
Which is great. They're not flipping out of them. You know what I mean? Like, again, with 2-year-olds. Yeah. This is what's on my mind right now.
Yeah, she would find a way though. So anyway, so it's a nice heavy duty table right as soon as you walk in. And then you have the kitchen itself. So they've got Keurig coffee makers that have the like a full pot. They've got all your kind of accoutrement for all that put there together. Stainless steel sink.
With a disposal, if you're curious. I thought that was nice.
Yes, it was. But then they've got all the things, plates, cups, silverware, paper towels, extra paper towels, towels, sponge,
dish soap.
All the things you could possibly need are already there.
And they've got all the things you would ever need, and the old ones did too, to cook with. I mean, truly, mixing bowls, pots and pans, cookie sheets, all the utensils you need, oven mitts.
Yeah.
And then the appliances themselves are really nice.
Yeah,
like the fridge actually made ice, like, you know what I mean? And the ice makers, we were able to utilize that. And it's a full size fridge and freezer. They've got the full size oven and stove, microwave. I mean, they really, dishwasher, they've got it all. I mean, it is a full kitchen.
One thing though, is that the cabinets they have are all filled with stuff. So there's not really any room for groceries.
That's true. I ended up just kind of finagling. That's always true. Any of their little kitchenettes they have, or kitchens, they have it filled. So I'm like, well, you gave us this full kitchen. We need a little bit of room for like the cereal we bought and the crackers. Like,
with the one exception of Old Key West, there was
ample
more
room.
Cabinets than you could ever need.
I loved that room.
I did too. Okay. And so stainless steel appliances. The old cabins didn't have an oven. I thought they did, but we looked
No.
up some video and they did not. So they only had a little cooktop, and that was all they had. These have a full 4-5 burner
Just like
stovetop.
what you
They've
have
got-
in your
yeah.
house, maybe.
Yeah.
And so then the living room is, I mean, it's all in one kind of great room, if you will. But the living room is right there. They've got a couch that is the same that they've had in all of their newer rooms they've built, where you just pull it down and it turns into a full-size bed, probably full-size.
bed, yeah, I think.
It's an actual bed, though. It's an actual mattress.
is,
So it is way more comfortable than a traditional sofa bed that you're pulling out
gosh,
from under the cushions.
Yeah, the old ones had sofa beds, and
Whoever was stuck to sleep on that, I mean, we're going to be
Yeah.
miserable.
Most of the rooms now that they've converted or updated now have these pull-down beds that just come down from the wall like a Murphy bed, but they're not Murphy brand. But they are Murphy beds. It's kind of like Kleenex, one of those things that you call like a pull-down
Didn't
bed.
we just talk about not
Did
this,
we?
but like that same anyway?
Yeah, it is a full mattress though, so I mean, it's not uncomfortable like the old ones
Yeah.
used to be. So it's not like who's got to sleep over there now?
Yeah, it's actually like
Yeah.
kind of desirable.
Yeah.
And then the TV they have in that main room, huge, 65 inches.
Yeah.
Huge. So
Big
it was
daddy.
really fun. Like we watched a few Disney movies in the evenings, and it was just, I mean, we could be in the kitchen, the girls were on the couch, like it was huge. You could see it from anywhere in the cabin.
Yeah, yeah. So then from there you can kind of walk into the main bedroom, and it's laid out in a similar way as the old
The
ones.
only bedroom.
The one and only bedroom, where it had 2 bunk beds, and then it had a full-size bed for
Maybe queen
size bed,
yeah,
maybe.
I don't know.
But the way the old ones were laid out, at least the one that we stayed in, the bed was put right up against the wall. So like I had to crawl over to get to my side of the bed, and I was like up against the wall.
I think that's how all of the old cabins were.
I think you're right. The new ones are not like that. They're laid out much better. And so it's still kind of hard to get around, especially if you have a pack and play in the way. But I was at least able, especially if the pack and play was not there, to get around to the other side of the bed.
Yeah. I would be way too claustrophobic. I remember staying at the old cabin and I was like, I can't sleep on that side.
Yeah.
I will freak out in the middle of the night. They have like dresser drawers. They've got a kind of open closet area where you could hang stuff.
Yep.
It's not, I mean, the closet is definitely not the showpiece of this.
Yeah.
I don't even think, again, we had the pack and play there, so we really just couldn't utilize that space much.
But there was
that's our
plenty
own
of
problem.
There was plenty of space though for that. So if you were unpacking, I mean, there's plenty of drawers there, and then actually underneath the bunk bed, there's also drawers.
Which is amazing.
That was so nice. The bed is raised enough that you can stick your suitcases underneath, so they're not in the way. So that was very well thought out.
Just like, and that's, I feel like they've gotten really good at that in any of their new rooms they've built, et cetera. But moving out of there to the other end of the cabin is the bathroom. And they did such a nice job with what they thought through with the bathrooms. I mean, the bathroom, it's clean, it's bright, it's nice. It's not like there's anything to write home about, but ours had a tub, which we thought we would have a shower. Based on everything we'd seen online, all of them had only showers. And so when we got there and it had a tub, I don't know if some have tubs, some don't, which would make sense, like maybe a roll-in shower. Yeah, and our preliminary research before going, all of them that we had seen. So I was delighted to see that they had a tub so that the girls could have bubble baths. But they also have this cute little stool. I don't know if we got a clip of it because, oh, you did? Okay, because we didn't realize what it was until like a couple days in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just pulls out from under the sink. The girls loved it. They could brush their teeth, wash their hands up there.
Yeah. Such a nice little thing that they didn't have to do, but that was just such a nice little thing. And then it's also really nice because it's a split bathroom. So the toilet and the showers all in one, and there is a sink in there, but then there's also an additional sink outside that has just a vanity and a mirror and all that kind of stuff. So if more than one person can be getting ready at once,
which is a game changer. I mean,
really nice.
Yeah, I could be doing my makeup and hair while you're showering or whatever, and it worked out so well, saved us time, and I love when they do that.
Yeah, I was just talking to my friend Rachel about it because she was asking about the new cabins, and I was telling her about that, and she's like, "Oh, that's great." She's like, "My sister always takes so long to get ready." I'm like, "There's one in every family."
I think I was that sister. Oh, we didn't mention, by the way, in the bedroom, there's also a TV, and it's also big. It's 55 inches. So it's only 10 inches smaller. So it's just incredible.
Speaking of this, but not at all, on this same trip we stayed at Coronado Springs. And it was very interesting because if you walk around the rooms that are vacant, all the TVs were on.
Oh, it was weird.
Does anybody know? Why do
What
they do
is
that?
that?
Like every single room, like if it was vacant and clean and ready, they had the curtains open and the TV was on.
In all of them.
And every single one I just thought that was a very interesting thing. And I noticed it a little bit at the cabins too. Not all of them were on, But ones that were vacant, they still had the TV on.
Yeah.
Why does Disney do that? Does anybody know?
Ooh, I'm very curious the answer because that confounded us numerous times on this
even
trip.
if they're like, energy saving TVs,
Like, why? What's the purpose?
why would you still? I mean, they still take energy to have them on. So why would you?
Because we could look across at like different cabins and we would see like blue TV, blue screen, like it was literally all of them on,
Yeah, very
but
interesting.
no one was in there. No car there. Very weird. Anyway.
Yeah. Does anybody know?
So to kind of share the comparison between the old ones and the new ones, let's show some clips and talk about the old ones.
Yeah.
You said we do have some. Roll that tape.
From when we went in January of 2020.
That's right.
So the old cabins were definitely more wildernessy. I mean, they were log cabins and they looked like log cabins from the outside. And I gotta say, part of me does miss that aesthetic, but you can't have it both ways. You can't have it. I mean, I'm sure that you probably could.
I think we could have.
I mean, when you were in there, it felt like you were in a log cabin because you were. And so looking at it from the outside, I mean, they had the timbers and all that kind of stuff. And then on the inside too, but it was so much darker. And
So
so
much
like
darker.
by having these big open windows on the side, I mean, it kind of changes the whole feel of them. But they also, one of the big things too, is the old ones felt very short. And I'm 6 feet. I'm 6 feet tall. So, but even still, they felt very short. They did have an A-frame little roof, but these just felt so big and open. I mean, they were just
Right in areas,
Yeah.
the term I kept thinking in my head
yeah.
with that. Lighter wood versus dark wood in the newer ones.
We also talked about the couch. So when you look at the old cabins, which I don't think we have footage of before they renovated the old cabins, they had a little TV kind of on a little pedestal, and then it was just like I think they had a pull.
I have, you know what? I did find some floor plan of the old ones. This is confusing. The old ones, probably built in 98, before they renovated the old ones. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to make it clear.
Right.
I found a floor plan of that.
Okay.
So you can see on this floor plan here, it had the little TV and it had a pull out Murphy bed.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is when they renovated it, you wanted to say it?
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say they where the Murphy bed was on the side, they put a big TV, which is nice, but then you only had a sofa bed, which is not so nice. And so
yeah, it was
you lost
interesting.
a more comfortable bed
But you
to get
gained
a
a
bigger
bigger
TV.
TV.
So
Yeah.
I mean, I think that like we were talking about in the last episode, the one big thing that I miss, and I really like the new cabins, but I miss them being more themed. Somebody actually commented on my vlog and said something to the effect of the new cabins are giving sad millennial gray.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't think they're that bad if you're in person. I think
They're beautiful in person, you guys. They really are. But I totally understand
I
that
get what you're coming from.
mentality
And,
or that. Yeah.
the old ones were definitely more themed, which I typically like more themed. In
Which
a Disney
again
hotel.
is absolutely what's been happening. Like
Yeah.
Disney is, the theme is there. And if you look closely, in the new ones, they have really cute touches and homages to Chippendale. So it is strewn throughout. You'll find lots of little hidden gems.
the bunk bed especially, they did a great job on that.
So it's there. It's just, again, it's like diet theme.
Yeah. But I like the new ones too. So I'm like, I don't know how to have it both ways.
So anyway, the other thing that is different is that the new ones have like a sliding glass door for the tub that we had, which kind of annoys. I think they're pretty and I like them as an adult, but with kids, it's got to go. You're basically only able to access half the bath when you're like bathing them, and that drives me crazy.
Yeah. But as an adult, I
thing.
like the sliding glass door better.
100%. Well, so they had a curtain in the old ones. And anytime like a shower curtain at a hotel like touches me, I'm like,
Yeah. But also, I feel
like they were way cleaner in Disney. But,
But it also lets in more light, which is nice. And I just feel like shower curtains, you get your little piddles all over the floor, the bathroom floor. It's nice to have like sealed. You got your perimeter.
That's right. It is nice and sealed. So the other thing I actually loved about the old cabins beyond just the vibe of it was that the kitchen table that you would sit at, they had a couple of chairs, but the other half was just a bench. But it was like, I think it was connected to the wall, like a booth almost. And I kind of love that because it gets it out of the way of the center of the kitchen. I don't know. And like with kids, they can all climb around on there. Like there's something about that just worked really well that I found that I missed.
Yeah, it did
It's
seem
a small
to kind
thing, but
open up the center a little bit more. But I also feel like the center of this one is much larger as it is. And so it kind of still feels more open.
Yeah.
Especially if with the bed up and away. I didn't mind that as much. I know that was
it's just a small thing. So obviously our kind of final thoughts on this before we share your guys' thoughts, we miss the vibe and the theme of the old one. I think they could have gone a little bit farther when it comes to the theming And I think you'd agree, right?
Yeah. But that's kind of what they've been doing across the board.
Right. So, it is what it is, I guess. But it definitely, the new one is a better design.
Mm-hmm.
It's more comfortable. It's more spacious,
thought out.
brighter, better thought out. So I do think it is a trade up. There's no doubt. I mean, duh. But I see what a lot of the complaints are of like,
but
it's just not really like the cabin that you think of. This feels like the future house they showed. Oh my gosh. Some of you guys were like, oh my gosh, yes. And Interventions.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was East or West. The future home they showed where it was like, and then you'll get light from this and, all those things. That's what this feels like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not in a bad way, but just, it doesn't really feel like a cabin.
Right. Yeah.
Feels like a nice room at the Riviera.
And I'm not a good enough designer. I'm not a designer at all.
I was going to say.
To be able to decipher what I think would be better. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what I want. Would it make a difference if they made it look more log-like?
Or
on the
like
outside?
if all the wood in there was dark, like if the table instead of a lighter wood was a dark wood, but that doesn't really fit the I don't know.
I'd kind of complain about that too. I'd be like, it's too dark.
We can't be made happy.
So some good, some bad. I think overall, 80%, I like these better than the old ones.
I think I would agree with that.
Just as a general.
Like I would recommend staying there. If you can swing it and you're into that idea. The one thing to note too is you definitely do feel a little bit secluded and you either like that idea or you don't. Because it is not going to be the same kind of trip where like the other half of our trip, we were at Coronado Springs. And even though that, like we weren't staying close to the lobby, you could, just do a stroll and get to the lobby and there's all the stuff there. There really is no place like that at Fort Wilderness. The main front lobby is small and it's just for checking in and stuff. The back area has like some of the food,
trails
but
and restaurants.
It's not really like a place you can go inside and hang out.
Yeah.
There's a little gift shop that's really cute near there.
Tavern there.
That's
too.
true. But you know what I mean? It's not that feel. So if you don't think you would like that, you probably wouldn't like staying at Fort Wilderness because you definitely do feel secluded.
Yeah.
Like I said.
Which I
good
actually
or bad,
really
depending
like.
on your.
Yeah. And I actually like that a lot, partly because it's like, especially when we had Genevieve the first time we went, like kids, they cry, they're loud, whatever. In a place like this, I'm like, I don't care. Scream, cry, do whatever you want. Go.
Well, and especially at this age now, they're like giggling and screaming. I'm like, there's no neighbors connected to our wall. Yeah. That's true.
So that's part of it. Like with young kids, I specifically liked that.
All right. So if you are not yet following us on our Instagram, Disneyville Podcast is what our Instagram name is. And so we posted to ask you guys, basically, what are your thoughts on the new ones, the old ones? What did you love about the old ones? What do you miss? I have already read a couple of these and some of them made me laugh out loud and I cannot wait. I want to start with my favorite one I've read so far. Okay, Mrs. Lauren Toner said, I've never actually sat on one, but the couches in the old cabins always looked a little sus. They definitely looked suspicious. And I remember feeling that same way, 4 or 5 years ago when we stayed there. So yeah, I would agree.
Tailored Beauty Edit said, prefer the interior of the new, but the exterior of the old. Loses a lot of the cabin-ness.
Maybe that's what they should have done.
But I also like the outside of it.
Well, they could
did
still
a nice job.
They did, but it definitely does not look like a cabin in any. So this person worded it pretty well. Miranda said, I'm sure the amenities are great in the new ones, but I can't help but feel like they look sterile.
Yeah, that's fair.
The Wright family said, the new cabins are giving mobile home vibes, not cabin vibes. The aesthetic is off. Yeah, it does look more like a really beautiful mobile home and not a cabin.
Yeah.
It's almost like they should have renamed them DVC mobile homes. They're mobile, but we're not moving them.
Yeah. Two Orange Blossoms said, love how fresh and modern looking the new ones are, but I miss the real log cabin feel. That's
I think this is generally
across the board.
Happily Ever Honeymooners. I think they lost a lot of the character, keep the log cabin feel, and update the interiors. So yeah, I feel like they could have even kept the giant windows, but if the rest of it, all the siding was like that log cabin look, maybe it's made of like that composite wood, whatever, and then had the inside the way it is, maybe people wouldn't complain as much. Maybe we wouldn't feel that way. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think you can make us happy, Kay Herdrick said, old ones feel dated, but the new ones may be too modern. It's like they swung way too hard the other way. They probably could have found a little more middle ground.
Yeah, and maybe that's really what it all kind of boils down to. Matthew Rupert, who, what I was talking about,
your buddy.
Rachel, her husband.
Yeah.
My buddy said, it might be unpopular opinion, but they don't look like a cabin anymore, more mobile home-ish. Again, across the board, everyone kind of agrees.
It's the wording, some of you guys. Wanderloon said, it's KOA camping vibes versus condo association vibes. That's exactly it.
Peyton Mackerman said, I think the new ones look so nice, but I like the vibes of the old ones, still remaining a bucket list for us. So,
Oh, yeah. I mean, again, it is still, you know, we're obviously talking about the cabins itself, but the vibe of Fort Wilderness is such a vibe, and it is such a unique vacation that when you're in the parks, you're like in the parks and it's, you know, all in your face and fun. And then you go there and you do feel like you can actually put your shoulders down and unwind. You can sit on the patio, have your cup of coffee or glass of wine in the evening, whatever. Like, it is a completely different vibe. So there's something to that.
Yeah. And again, I feel like we're being negative, but I still
I don't mean to be, because we really did, but it's just we were talking about how we really hadn't taken a moment to kind of discuss or think through until today our feelings on it versus the old ones, because we have stayed at both of them within the past 5 years. You know what I mean? And kind of
Wanderloons also wrote another comment, the one you just read. And I think this is exactly, I hadn't thought about this. I think this hits the nail on the head. They said, but I also think it's Disney. So eventually we'll be nostalgic for these. I'm like, that's it. So it's new. We're, you know, whatever. But in 30 years from now, we're like, oh, I miss the old cabins. They were so much better.
That's it. That's exactly. And that is all of us in a nutshell. It's not nostalgic until it is. Do It Blondie said, for the price, the new cabins definitely seem more worth it, even though they're very bland. And that's it. It's a higher price tag. And so I feel like
they're
you're
priced
paying,
moderate, even though it's a value. I mean, it's definitely moderate.
I don't know that the cabins are
high-end moderate.
even listed as value.
The campground is technically a value. But what I'm saying is, like, the cabins have always been at the moderate price level, at least.
And now I feel like it's pushing deluxe.
It is, yeah.
But it feels like a deluxe 1-bedroom villa that you would stay at in the Riviera. And so it makes sense that if they're going to be charging those prices, it should be at least equivalent, especially since you're not really getting the deluxe amenities at the resort itself at Fort Wilderness. And there's no washer and dryer, by the way, if you were curious. Most of the deluxe have it. This one, they do not, just so you know.
Katie B. Blair said, missed the log cabin look, but excited for the pull-down bed versus the uncomfy pull-out couch. Yeah.
And the other nice thing is, too, this sleeps 6. And so if you're looking at like a regular hotel room, what do those sleep? Up to 5?
Most of them.
Most of them. So, I mean, this is an option you could have where if you've got 6 people, like Disney will not let you can't, like we used to as kids. I am one of 6 kids. Okay. And so when we would do our summer family vacation, we'd be staying in one room, and like me, all the younger ones would be like sleeping on sleeping bags on the floor or whatever of the hotel, which now looking back, I'm like, gross. But anyway, we would duck down. Like we would pull up, my dad would go in to check in and he'd be like, all right, younger kids, you 3 duck down so it doesn't look like there's 8 of us in the car so that, you know, we could stay in one room. You can't get away with that at Disney, you know? It's Ashley Rose wrote, what in the gentrification? I want to pop on the screen what we shared on our Instagram so you can see the images that everyone was looking at. That is hilarious. Yeah, definitely.
Duns Do Disney say they're so cute. Still woodsy vibes, but feel more elevated. I can't wait to stay in one.
So just for fun, I posted a poll and the options were old versus new, the same pictures I just popped up. You could choose, I miss the old ones, I'm digging the new ones, I'm neutral, or just curious, you know. 40% say I miss the old ones. 21% said I'm digging the new ones. Neutral was 18%. And then 21% of you guys were just nosy and you didn't want to vote. So, I mean, really, as a general rule, everyone misses the old ones, but a lot of people are liking the new ones. So
I think pretty much across the board, just looking at people's comments, everyone kind of feels
pretty
similar.
Yeah. Disney should start asking all of us, you know? We all have such good ideas, though. I do think about that all the time. I'm like, obviously, I don't know how Disney works with like all their people and their board and like who's designing what. But I'm like, if they really did want to know all of our opinion, we all have such great ideas and we could tell them before they start building something what we're going to think. Like,
yeah. But see, then you got a year into, I mean, they would have to do
it would
survey form and then it would end up being data. And then they're going to be a data-driven company, which I don't want them to be.
You don't think Disney is a data
even more so than what they
I know what you mean.
You know what I mean?
There's a difference. You're right.
I want designers to design things.
That's a good point.
I want Imagineers to be Imagineers. I don't want things done by committee. You know what I mean?
You're right.
but take our opinions. Just us though. Just like
and you guys
ask
too,
us.
though. But
And, yeah,
only that.
only that though.
So we always like to read a review from you guys, and we so appreciate when you take the time to go on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Can you leave reviews on
I think
Spotify?
you can rate on Spotify,
But not leave
a
reviews.
review.
So on Apple, I know you can actually write a review. We love them. We try to read one at the end of each episode. So we're going to read one today.
So this is from Disney Girl 25. Says best Disney podcast. This is definitely the best Disney podcast out there. I've been watching Jessica on YouTube since before children, and of course had to watch/listen to this podcast. Jessica and Tyler are just super easy to listen to, and absolutely love when they laugh at each other. Oh, that's awesome. We do that a lot. Thank you for keeping your topics very light and happy. And Tyler, thank you for painting the chip under the shelf. My OCD eyes couldn't take it anymore, Michelle.
Thank you so much. That was so kind of you to say. I don't know that we're the best ones out there. I feel like there are so many Disney Well, first of all, there are just so many Disney podcasts, but there are so many that have been doing this for so long.
I know, yeah.
Like their catalog of videos is hundreds and hundreds deep. So hopefully we'll still be doing this hundreds of episodes in. Because this is so much fun for us. Yes. So thank you guys for listening and watching.
And we'll see you guys on the next one.
Bye, guys. Bye.